The content of this podcast is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. We are not licensed therapists, counselors, or mental health professionals, though I like to think I am. While we aim to provide insightful and helpful discussions, our views and advice are based on personal experiences and general knowledge, not professional expertise. If you are seeking professional mental health support, which we support, we encourage you to consult a qualified therapist or counselor. Welcome back, everybody, to Lattes with Lucy, a special bonus series of the Royals of Malibu. And a friendly reminder, you can, of course, write or upload your questions at emeraldaudio.co/Lattes with Lucy for a chance to be featured on this very show. Check out our Instagram at the Royals of Malibu to learn how you can submit a question, a problem, a musing of your own. Everybody, welcome back. This is a very special episode of Lattes with Lucy. We need to say the sad thing, which is that dear Emma has fallen ill. She's suffering from some food poisoning, and our thoughts and prayers are with her that she has a swift recovery. I feel very lost at sea, but I'm excited to guide us through these choppy waters with someone who is very near and dear to me. She is someone that is quite literally keeping my life on track. It is the one, the only, Lindsey Ploussard.
Thank you. I'm honored that you guys think I'm qualified to be here.
Okay, literally, I've actually name dropped you a ton on the pod. So, okay. Lindsey is the producer of my podcast, which we'll talk about later. But more important, she is so involved with TROM in a way that you guys might not even realize. First of all, she is the casting director, casting producer. She actually wrote a ton of season 2. And actually, she wrote one of my favorite scenes I've ever done on Royals of Malibu, which was the hospital scene between Margaret and Ella, by the way.
That scene, I mean, I hate to amp myself up, but that scene made me cry a little bit while writing it. I was like, wow, I really can imagine sad things.
And that's the point.
Must be a really good writer.
Literally, you must be incredible, which you are. Lindsey, so we're going to get into your history with the Royals in a second. I do feel the need to let you know that in episodes that have not yet come out, I have sung your praises to such a high degree that you're going to be uncomfortable. And
Great.
One of the things I mentioned, and what is so apparent if you know Lindsey, is your kind of unbelievably innate ability to be productive and to be ambitious and on your shit. And the last episode, which again is not out yet, or I guess will be out by the time this is so stupid. By the time this comes out, it will be out. But anyway, our last episode, we talk a lot about discipline and how to cross the line between getting your goals met and doing what you want to do, but not in an unhealthy way or in a toxic way. And we're going a little out of order here, but I'm just so curious. How do you feel when you hear yourself being described this way? And what is your advice in general to people that feel like they suffer greatly with self-discipline?
So to answer the first part of your question, when I hear myself described in such a lovely and kind way, I want to throw up. I don't like praise. I think because I'm so critical of myself, when someone gives me praise, I'm like, that's not true. That's not how I see her about myself.
Lies.
But I think so. It's to an extent, I've made it this far in life, so I'm doing something right. And part of that has to be true. I think a lot of it has to do with being the oldest daughter. You just come with this innate drive and need to prove something, I guess, to everyone you know and love.
The birth order psychology, yeah.
Oh my God, I think it's so real. Me and my 3 siblings, we should be studied. It's exactly everything is exactly as it says in all those psychology textbooks. But yeah, I think a lot of it comes from that. And then what was your second question?
Oh, just like, how do you feel like you came to be this way? And what would you say to someone who really struggles with self-discipline, both like doing it and having a healthy relationship to it?
So I was born into it, as I mentioned. So that's how I became this way. And I've always been like a person who dreamed pretty big. And I realized from a really young age that all you have is yourself. Like if you want to achieve a goal, you are responsible for achieving that goal for yourself. And so I think I've just always come at everything from that mindset. And so there's a lot of different ways to like be productive. Like we could talk about SMART goals or, I don't know, some like crazy, like Huberman Lab style productivity hack. But the one that works the best for me is understanding, and this comes with like age, but understanding how you work and how you work well, and realizing that you don't have to fit the mold of anyone else and how they work, if that makes sense. Like if you're someone who doesn't like to work out in the morning, you don't have to work out in the morning. Like you can just build your life in a way that is productive for you. And that's kind of how I roll. I try not to put too much pressure on myself generally. And I think that helps because then I don't like rebel against myself and my goals. So I don't know. That's kind of, I would just say like, really think about who you are and how you operate, like when your brain is working the best, and try out a bunch of different things and realize that like what may work for Steph may not work for Lindsey and vice versa, Mm-hmm. So I think that's just trying not to like fit a mold of what we think productivity is, and just set goals for yourself and figure out the best way to achieve them. And then also be kind to yourself, because we're not on earth to be productive. We're on earth to love.
It's so true. Speaking of love, Lindsey, how did you get involved with the Royals of Malibu? And please tell all the fans listening every single thing you did over the last 3 years. Go.
So for the first season, it's not a meet cute situation. I work for the production company that worked with Diversion to produce season 1. So it was literally my job to do it.
Good job.
So at Pod People, I'm the director of talent, and part of that is doing all the casting for our audio fiction. So when Diversion came to us, we were responsible for casting the season 1 cast, and I also worked with some of the staffing to build the team to make the podcast. So that was why we did season 1. And then when season 2 came around, I really want to be a writer. That's something I'm pursuing professionally. And I was really involved in season 1 and really loved the story and the narrative and the genre. And I raised my hand and took a chance and said, hey, could I maybe write a couple episodes of season 2? And luckily I had the support of Matt, our amazing director, and then Rachel, the CEO and an audio fiction legend, backing me up and saying, yeah, absolutely. We want to give you that opportunity to do it. And so I did that for season 2 as well. And that was kind of I guess that's the cool story of how I ended up writing, is I literally was so terrified to ask, because I thought they'd say, no, you've never written anything, you crazy gal. And I asked, and I realized the worst they could say was no. And then they said yes. And it was amazing and super fun. And I learned so much and grew so much. So I'm really, really glad I took a leap. I remember that day very vividly, and just sitting at my computer shaking when I sat down to talk to Rachel, and Rachel was like, yeah, duh, do it. Crazy.
Isn't that so how life goes? I feel like, and even you and I working together outside of here, it's there are so many things that you build up in your head. And then when you're in the middle of doing them, you're it's so classic, but it's the isn't it, Glennon Doyle, We Can Do Hard Things. Is that her or Brene Brown?
Oh my gosh. No, Glennon is We Can Do. Yeah. My mom loves her.
Yeah, Glennon Doyle, the We Can Do Hard Things. It's I think a lot of what I'm realizing lately is not everything has to feel amazing. I think sometimes we think, oh, if it feels right, it is right. But I think that doesn't apply to everything. And sometimes the thing you need the most feels the most uncomfortable in the moment, but that's not an indication of something wrong. It's an indication of like something greater to come. And I feel like in that moment you felt shaking and horrible and wanted to die. And it actually led to like a massive step forward in your life.
Yeah. One thing my mom always says, and I know I think she stole this quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, but I'm going to pretend that my mom, this is an original Kathleen quote. She said, do something every day that scares you. And that was definitely that one thing for that day, was doing that. I don't think I do something every day that scares me, but it's a good kind of mentality to get out of your comfort zone. And yeah, not everything's supposed to feel good all the time.
Yeah.
And
I
think
really,
that's
really
like,
believe that.
Anything that's worth doing should be a little hard. So,
I totally agree.
And
yeah,
I think like we get away from that in like our instant gratification society we live in, where like you can just go viral on TikTok in like 2 minutes and then, you know, that's your life. But I do think there's like value in hard work and sticking your neck out and suffering a little bit sometimes for the betterment of who you are.
Oh, I totally agree. I think with grit comes perspective. I think with hard work comes like a feeling of enormous success, and it's helpful because it helps you to contextualize when things are really hard. I mean, in the last episode, I was in like a really bad place and was just totally honest about it. And now I'm coming out the other side, and I feel like it's so silly, but like it is so true that like you need these darker periods, these harder periods for the lighter, more successful, more uplifting periods to even resonate, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lindsey, are you ready? Are you spiritually, emotionally, and physically ready to give some advice to our actual fans?
Emotionally locked in, spiritually locked in, physically sweating in this LA heat wave, but I feel like that's really getting me fired up to answer some questions.
Yeah, literally, you guys, it's no joke going to be like, I think, reach 100 in LA over the next couple of days. And we don't have our ACs on for your listening pleasure. So you're welcome.
It's basically the apocalypse.
Yeah, it's the apocalypse. We're dying. Wait, Lindsey, breaking news. We have an update from episode 5, which I'm thrilled to read. I am reading this, you guys, in real time.
Wow.
So just to refresh your memory, everybody, this was her question. I've been in a friend group since college, and 2 years ago, 2 friends in the group had a bad falling out. Since then, the rest of the group has had to largely pick and choose who to invite to what birthdays, parties, etc., to avoid the drama and anxiety of both these friends. It's really awkward when either friend will ask about a party they weren't invited to because the other friend was invited. It's getting old, having to juggle, and I think enough time has passed that maybe we can all move forward and be in the same room together. As a friend, how can I or should I navigate this? Half of me wants to stage an intervention, but the other half of me knows that this is probably not helpful. And if memory serves me, we basically all kind of came to the conclusion that that this is something they have to work out on their own, and that like it's not up to them to like constantly accommodate a drama they're not a part of. You know, I think I was of the mindset that I do think that if this friend is like a really neutral, like equally close person to these 2 people, maybe they are kind of the only one that could help bring them together, but it's not like her job to.
Right.
So, okay. And then I think we all were kind of like, they need to make a decision. Like, are they, you know, or that they need to just keep inviting both of them, and it's up to them and it's on them to decide, you know, if they want to come or not. So, okay, so here's what happened. I'm actually like literally so excited. We, the friends in the group, have given a lot of emotional support to both parties during and after the fallout. So it's not like we were rudely uninviting either friend. We just did the mental gymnastics of not mentioning the other. We would even invite both, and one friend would come early and leave early to avoid the other person. One friend is definitely interested in squashing this beef, but another friend isn't ready yet. When I approached both of them about it a few months ago, it seemed like both deep down would be open in the future. So hopefully in a few months, I can try Emma's advice and invite them to my birthday. Ugh, this is so real. I've talked about this in many different ways on this podcast. I had like a very big friend breakup in my life and had to go through exactly this, and I was definitely the one not ready to squash the beef. And I wasn't doing it in any kind of like dramatic or like attention seeking way. I just genuinely wasn't ready and was like sad, but completely okay with like not going to things because I couldn't deal, and I didn't make a big thing of it. But I feel like a lot of people out there might be like, yeah, just like get over it. It's like sometimes you can't, and maybe sometimes for you it's not healthy too. And so I think I'm happy that it sounds like a few months from now it might be okay. But I think to try and not like over villainize either party. It's hard though. We don't have any context. Like maybe they're both acting really toxically. We don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this, Lindsay?
This is just digging up a lot of emotions because I've been the like in between two.
Of course, that makes complete sense to me.
I've never done anything wrong in my life ever personally, so I've never had any falling outs of any sort. No, but I understand the stress and you feel like because you're in between, you for some reason are responsible for mediating and sometimes one party is not interested in mediating because I mean in the situation I'm referring to, like one of my friends, I understood why she didn't want to ever be friends with those other people again. Like, and so it's just, I think it's always just making sure you include everyone. That's always like my mentality that I come from is I'm not going to do mental gymnastics if I'm hosting something and say like, so-and-so can come and then we won't invite so-and-so. Like we're all adults. Just, I would let the person know that those people would be there, and then leave it up to her if she wanted to come or not. And if she didn't, I'd say, cool, well, let's hang out later, So, but it's fighting the urge to like want to fix it. That was, I really struggled with that for a while. And then I realized that it wasn't my beef. And also I had to respect what both parties wanted. And if they didn't want to hang out, like that sucks, and it's probably never going to be the same again, but that's also just part of life and how friendships evolve. And you can only control so much, but I think it's just trusting your friends to like, be adults and figure it out, or like be mature and figure it out, So, which is
not always possible for some people. Clearly, I'm fine. I think it's a really, really hard thing going from 20s to 30s, and I'm not quite sure. Of course, maybe these people are in their teens, but in general, there's a really big shift that happens when some people are like loving the drama, loving the beef. And some people like me have like literally no space for it. Like none. Zero.
Yeah, some of us just want to like.
Some people love it though.
Yeah. Some of us just want to take our dogs to the dog park,
That's
and
right.
then some of us want to beef. And I fall in the dog park category.
Yes, she does. Kind of confirmed.
Beef does happen at the dog park. Not my dog park though. But
not your dog.
It is interesting. You do like going from your 20s to 30s. I think I'm 22, but I'm just kidding.
I was like,
no, but like
you are.
But as someone who's like I'm very slowly approaching my 30s. I'm turning 29 in like a couple days. But like as I'm approaching it, I'm realizing how my friendships are changing and my priorities are shifting. Other people's priorities are shifting. But really it is about balance and like always wanting to strike a balance. And I mean, it goes back to the idea of like wanting to mediate, like being the diplomatic one in the middle of like two people fighting. Libras always want to be like, guys, let's look at both sides of the story. We're also fiercely loyal, which I think is my like most Libran trait, is I'm very like, I'm like ride or die sometimes.
Yeah.
To a fault.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
anyways,
let's get more into our, nope. I'm really doing great at this transitioning shit. I think this is a perfect moment to just dive into these questions.
Can I ask a question really quick before we move on?
Before this horrendous transition, go ahead.
Steph, how do you feel hearing someone taking your advice and like running with it? That's got to feel amazing.
Oh my God. I still don't understand that people are actually listening to this. Doing a podcast is so bizarre, you guys, because it's not like I come from the world of stand-up. And so like when I would do a stand-up show, like there the people were, I did the stand-up stand it up, and there were the people, and you know, you got a real reaction. This just goes into the ether, and I don't know if anyone listens unless they expressly tell me. And I am someone who is going to assume that like no one's going to listen or pay attention to anything I do unless I absolutely like beg them to, because that's my own complex. But the fact that people are listening and like processing what we say is like amazing. I just feel like my goal in life, one of my like pillars of what I want to do is just somehow make people feel like less alone in some way, and to make people feel like whatever they're going through, no matter how like heavy it feels, like someone else has or is also going through that thing. And I just like believe in this show like so deeply. And I know that like 75% of the people listening are like, where's season 3? Which like literally same. But it's just like, maybe though, while we're waiting for our incredible season 3 to kick off, like we can realize like the thread of humanity that like all of these TROM fans, including us, have in common, you know?
Yeah. And you're like the Gen Z Dear Abby. Do we all remember that reference?
I don't think Gen Z will, but I do,
guys,
as a millennial.
Gen Z, you know what, guys? There used to be this thing called newspapers. And no, I'm just kidding. There's still newspapers.
And there's a thing called paper and pen.
And you used to be able to write in to Dear Abby, and Abby would give you advice. And Abby, I believe, was anonymous. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't know. I remember like my mom used to read them out loud to us at breakfast if they were interesting. But you're kind of like,
that's so cute.
You're the new Dear Abby.
Wow. I am thrilled and honored. Dear Abby is reporting for duty. Dear Lucy, dear Steph, dear Stephanie, or Stepfox, as my grandparents used to call me. Lindsay, what is your family nickname? We're never getting to these people. They're like, help me.
My family nickname, it's great. I'm giving my birthday, my nicknames.
Social Security.
I'll give you my childhood dog, so you guys can all hack my bank information. All those names. No, but I'm Linz. Linz is like, obviously.
I love that. Linz.
This is embarrassing. Lindsay Lou. My dad calls me that.
Lindsay Lou.
Which I guess is not a nickname because it's longer than my name. But
No. It's the thought that counts. That is adorable. Please, TROM fans, let us know in any way you wish. DM, comment, mail pigeon. Let us know your nicknames. I love nicknames. I was gonna hate editing this episode. I know we need to get to the questions. I love nicknaming people.
Yeah,
it's like something I do. I literally like compulsively nickname people. Like everyone.
Have you ever been nicknamed something you didn't like?
Yes. You know what? It's funny. I don't love Steffi, but if it's said in the right way, I do. Like if it's like kind of as a joke, like Steffi, or like, hey Steffi. Like, but if it's like Steffi, I'm like, I'm gonna die. How about you?
Yeah, I have been nicknamed things I didn't like. Linda. But that's not even a nickname. That's just
just not your name.
That's just a different
You
lady.
can't nickname someone a name they're not.
Yeah.
I have done that before. I'm realizing as I say that. I haven't called you Linda, but I've done that to other people.
But I'm pro nickname. I kind of like when someone will call me Linz and they haven't asked permission. I'm a little like, what? Are we like,
they just went there.
Are we best friends?
No, literally.
I didn't realize.
My friend Emily's the same way with M, and like I feel the same way with Steph. Actually, Steph is confusing. We actually talked about it a lot in starting this podcast. Like, am I Stephanie Sherry or Steph Sherry? It's a constant struggle because I'm both. Like, even my family will interchange Stephanie and Steph.
Yeah.
But it's long, really sexy when someone uses the more familiar version. You're like, whoa.
You're like,
Steph,
okay.
Linz, damn.
I love you.
I love you. Okay, great. Nikki from Montana asks.
Nick from Montana.
Okay, we're going to get right into it. Thank you guys for bearing with our incredible rapport. Okay, Lindsay, this is the first time I'm reading this, so here we go.
Okay.
Nikki from Montana asks, there's this guy who I've known for years. and I liked him, but the feeling was on and off for a while because we kept getting into these fights where we wouldn't be friends for a few years. Thing is, I'm going into high school with him and I still have feelings for him. Should I tell him or no? Lindsay, would you like to start? Would you like me to start?
This sounds like a friends to enemies to friends to enemies to lovers situation.
Which we love.
Yeah, that's some of my favorite like romance subplots are things
we love
like this.
Here at TROM, we love a frenemy.
So it sounds stressful, but it does sound kind of entertaining and fun. And you should write some of this down. That's all I'm saying. Like, yeah, no, you go first, Steph. Like, what is your read on this? I'd love to know.
Okay, first of all, I feel very protective of Nikki from Montana. One, I love Montana. And two, I've been, it's great. Two, I'm going into high school. You're so young. Thank you for writing in. That was so brave and so iconic. That is iconic behavior, writing in with your love woes at, 13, 14. Okay, so basically you're like, I still have feelings for him, but like it's been kind of like tumultuous and complicated in the past. What do I do? I think, okay, so obviously like the risk of saying something is that you say something and he says no. But the risk is also I say something and he says yes. Like suffering is inevitable in life. Like bad things will happen. Like negative things will happen to you, but that's not a reason. Like you could try to do something or not try to do something. And like the possibility of something going wrong will always be there. So therefore, logically, it's not a reason not to do something because you could not do something and something bad could happen tomorrow. You could do something and something bad could happen tomorrow. So in a very convoluted, confusing way, what I am saying is if there is a potential that if you do something, something positive could happen, you have to go for it because the negative shit's always going to fucking happen. Like you have to live your life like your life depends on it. And I just feel like this is a moment where shoot your shot. Go for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think my thoughts on this is it sounds like you guys are friends and have been friends for a while. It's been kind of on again, off again in terms of like your friendship. And so I think, yeah, absolutely. Like if you are head over heels into this person and you want them to know, you should tell them. But like also if you enjoy their friendship and you kind of have to think about if you enjoy the friendship and you're worried that if you tell them that you like them, that could risk losing the friendship. Maybe think about it a little bit more. I don't know, but you have to decide, like, is this person someone I want to date or is this someone who's a friend? And then like kind of weigh the two options. I'm being very Libra about it. Like, let's really think about this. But I think...
And I'm like, life is suffering.
You're like, do it. You'll regret it if you don't. Which I think is right. Like, I think that sentiment is so romantic. And like, that was my gut reaction when I read it. But as I like... As I listened to it again, I was like, well, this person's been a friend for years. And, like, the other thing is you're going into high school and what you're going to realize as you get older is your life progressively becomes a lot bigger. Like right now, it probably feels very small being in middle school. Like I think in my middle school class, there were 60 kids because I went to a little.
I had like 90. Yeah. Same, and it was the same K through 12. Yeah.
And I was with those kids like for 9 years at that point, and there were some like I think back and like the guys that I had crushes on, I was like, this is the hottest man in the entire world. Yeah. At that point when I was in 8th grade. And then like I went to high school and I was like, who are those guys? Like, what was that boy in my class? you know? So you're like, one thing is just like, you can also keep your options open. You're going into high school. There's going to be like maybe kids from other schools coming to your high school. That's how my high school was. A bunch of other schools came in. There could be new possibilities. So I think like, I don't know. I think it's just like you got to write down a pros and cons list and like.
That's the most Lindsay answer.
Like, I really though, because like I don't know. You just if he's your friend and you do value that friendship, sometimes introducing romance can complicate that. And sometimes you can do it and it's like totally fine. I don't know, but I've never seen that happen in practice. So yeah, I would just see like, do you value this person as a friend, or like, are you actually serious about wanting to date them? And it sounds like there's some chemistry there between the two of you. So I don't know. And then also keep your options open, because high school is about to be crazy and there'll be a bunch of new people.
Yeah.
So I would say like, don't feel pressure to like do like a huge gesture right out the gates. If you want to get to high school and like see how you feel and then tell them, you could go to like homecoming together or something.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right. You don't need to like, first day back at school, be like, and by the way,
yeah,
I'm in love with you.
You've got to memorize your locker combination that day. Like,
yeah.
Don't.
And like, where are you going? Where are your classrooms even?
Oh my God.
You got to go from Steph, like this floor to that floor. It's a long sprint.
I still have truly nightmares where it's my first day of freshman year and no one gave me my class schedule and I don't know what anything is.
Yeah. I never have my schedule. Not wearing a bra is an incredible detail. Yeah, it's horrible. Like, you're totally nude with no schedule, which is worse.
just flapping around, no schedule in sight. Like the most recent one I have is I have my job now at, writing for the Royals of Malibu, and I still have that. But then they went back and looked at my transcript and they saw I didn't do like calculus. And so I have to go back and do calculus, but also do my job now. And so I'm still working through that.
Yeah, I have a recurring dream as well. I dream all the time, a very realistic recurring dream that's like, the way high school works is you leave, you go to college, and then when you're done with college, you have to like all come back and like then finish then. And it's like this established thing, and I see all and it's like, oh my God. It's horrible. It's horrible. We're going to marinate on that for a little bit longer, but for now, we're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back. All right. Lindsey, should we dive into question 2?
Let's do it.
Let's go. This is, and I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name, Saskia from Australia. Keep doing what you guys do. It's amazing. And we love our TROM, guys. Oh my God. We love you too. It's a bit of a lame question. No, it's not. But I thought I'd throw it out. I've attempted at writing my own book. Mix of mystery, backstabbing, and twists. Everyone who reads it thinks I should publish it. Okay. I'm in two minds because I don't think it's publish worthy, but everyone thinks I should. Should I just go for it? You know what we're going to say. Do it! Duh.
Yeah, obviously.
Done. Episode over.
Do you think a man's ever asked himself that question? Like, should I publish this book I wrote? They're just sending them to publishers. So you do not second guess yourself for a second. That's my friend. You wrote a whole damn book. That's crazy.
And people like it?
And people like it? Like, what do you think? Are we kidding? All lying to you? They read your entire book. That they read probably 400 pages of something you wrote, and they were like, you should publish this. You think they're just lying? They wasted hours of their life reading that book, and they're not going to lie to you. I think you need to go for it. I think you should really nail down like the first 5 pages, like make them freaking pop and start querying agents. Go for it. Like, I think I think that you're as a writer, you're always going to be critical of something you've written and never truly feel like it's done, because these worlds live in your brain and you may not feel like they're always translated perfectly onto the page. But if you've written something that resonates with people and they have literally told you should publish it, you should try to publish it. And what's the worst thing that happens? It doesn't get published. It's already not published. And then you get your idea for your next book. And every single time you're writing, you're getting better. And that's amazing. So I think you should absolutely publish it if you can. And like, honestly, if a publisher doesn't want it, you can self-publish. I mean, I don't know how to do that, but you can do that. People do it all the time. And
all the time.
Yeah, I think go for it. Like, I don't think there's even an alternative answer.
I completely agree. I feel like in the age of TikTok, in double screen time, in literally anything and everything that could take your attention, your friends have read this book and not only enjoyed it, but told you to publish it. Like, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. You got to do it. And it's like, you're saying you don't think it's publish worthy. Like, why? And how do we unpack that? And I get it, because as someone who second guesses themselves to a clinical degree, I feel like, yeah, it might not be perfect to you and it might not be publish worthy to you, but at a certain point, what's the alternative? Not doing it? You know, it's like so much of what I talk about in my life is like, yeah, it's scary and uncomfortable as fuck to do something, but it's way better than like the dread and despair of not. You know, like you gotta do it. You gotta do it. You gotta try. You gotta see what's on the other side of like really seeing how far this could go. You have to do it. Do it. We want to read it. We will buy it. Let us know when it's out.
Yeah. Send us the title. This sounds right up my alley. Like, yeah, I think if you wrote a whole book and then you also were brave enough to send it to people and let them read it, and like, you're already such a brave person, like you got to go for it. And I know you can. So I'm pretty excited.
Wow, Lindsey, we are like just about getting to the end here, which is so sad, but so fulfilling. Thank you so much for being here. This was so great.
Thanks, Steph. I had so much fun.
All right, you guys. As always, we want your questions. We literally can't do this show without them. Head to emeraldaudio.co/Lattes with Lucy to submit your voice memo or to write in your question, and check out our Instagram at the Royals of Malibu to learn more. As always, all questions can remain anonymous. No topic is too cringe or too embarrassing. Believe me, we are here for you to be the Lucy to your Ella, the Ella to your Val, anytime, anywhere. Please come back next Monday. Please, 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 for more. And be sure to follow the show at The Royals of Malibu, Emerald Audio at Emerald Audio Network, and of course, me, Stephanie Sherry at It's Steph Sherry. And Lindsey, now's the chance to plug your Insta, which is
at JLindseyP, J as in Janet, which is my first name, and then Lindsey is LINDSEY, and then P as in Ploussard, JLindseyP, all platforms. No one else has that name.
That's right.
You'll be able to find me everywhere.
Lindsey Lou, we love you. Thank you so much.